Hello everyone, Gloin here, and welcome back to the Edain mod, where today we're going to be ranking the heroes of the dwarves. Which dwarves specifically? Well, if you can't guess, it's the Erebor. The dwarves of Erebor are the first of the dwarf factions I will be ranking, and honestly, for most of the dwarves, their heroes kind of get outshined by just their faction in general. I feel like the dwarves unit-wise are amazing. Mechanic-wise, amazing. Outpost-wise, except for Iron Hills, amazing, since they redid Dale and Lake Town. But the heroes can very easily get outshined. Well, most of them can. There are some exceptions. So let's get into it. Just firstly, before I forget, heroes are ranked from A to E. From A being perfect, B good, C average, D below average, and E needs a rework. We've not had any E's yet, but believe me, we will before the end of this video. So, starting with the scout hero, who I've positioned up here for no particular reason other than because I wanted to. Nori, who is a C tier scout hero. He doesn't actually do any real scouting. He does have the Shady Fellow, which makes him move faster and reveal the area he's walked through for 20 seconds. Which is a weird mechanic to try and talk about and understand, because you're basically just leaving a slime trail. Think of it like that. We're just leaving a slime trail, and we can see that slime trail for 20 seconds, and then it's gone. No advanced vision range, or just extra movement speed, which is okay. Then we get the summon of Dori, who, the higher level that Nori is, the more powerful Dori is. You deal with more damage at level 5, even more damage at level 7, and then AoE knockback at level 10. So, very good little friend for a scout hero. Then he's got his throwing knife, which I always just put on auto cast. Every time you press it, you hear the axe throw ability of Gimli, which we'll be talking about in a moment. Oh, yep, there goes Dori. And then finally, you've got the ambush ability to teleport a short distance and appear by throwing a bunch of knives everywhere. So, Dori... which one are you again? Nori. Nori, in particular, is more of a combatant than he is a scout. And that is further incentivized by the fact that he levels up passively. Every minute, he gets one level. If he's like one experience point away from reaching another level, that doesn't cross over. He just gets that extra one, and that puts him up to the next level until he gets to level 10, which then he gets the mithril shirt, which all of the dwarf heroes have to pay for. But yeah, Nori just gets it for free instead of having to pay 500 and have the pony camp with a elite unit go and get some Khazad-dûm vets. Next up on the list, we have Gloin, the father of Gimli, one of our favourite siege experts, and is, in my opinion, another C-tier hero. He's got some good abilities. One of them is a bit awkward. The others are very heavily incentivizing damage against buildings or increasing damage of siege units, which is good. The problem is, his only real instant damage ability is Shake Foundation. Shatter Hammer doesn't really do a lot of damage. It says enemy buildings in a radius take heavy damage. I've seen that damage. It is not as good as they say it is. But yeah, let's actually go through his abilities one at a time. Firstly, Aggressive Sally. Opens a gate at an enemy building, which you can then use to spam out your, like, for example, 5 stack of Guardians with their heavy damage against buildings. But considering you can just purchase this you can just purchase this power here, Undermine, that does basically the exact same thing, and instead of it being a temporary mineshaft, it's a permanent mineshaft on the map. So it's a weird one. Then the bonus damage and armor for siege engines. Nearby infantry become immune to structure arrows, and nearby machines will slowly be repaired. Very good ability. Definitely the highlight of Gloin. And then Shake Foundation, as I said before, is his main way of just doing vast amounts of damage very quickly. Unfortunately, he has to wait till level 6 to get it. Because before then, he's not really doing any damage himself. He's only being a support. But when he does get this, you can expect any enemy base to just be open for plundering, thanks to this ability. Not only will it do massive damage to a building, but if it's a gate, it will be opened. So no one can hide from the might of the dwarves. And then finally, Shatter Hammer is a great ability. It's the fact that it only does real damage to buildings and then basically no damage to units makes it a little bit of a weird one for me. I personally can't say having high damage to units is a bad thing, seeing you don't really have any mass slaying tool of that scale. But, I mean, it is also disruption, so use it as you want. Next up, we have the son of Dain, Thorin Stonehelm III, who, for me, is a B tier hero. Really good, very competent. However, he does need to be low on health to be able to get the most out of his damage. He starts off pretty decent at level 10, 500 damage, becoming 700 once you get to 25% of your health, which then can be doubled, but lose even more armor using the Blood Rage. Then you can Battle Roar for even more speed. Enemy heroes sustain more damage from hero attacks, and then run in with Revenge and basically one-shot nearly any hero in the game. Which is good. It's the problem with the fact that it's tied to a cooldown is the big problem. And also this can, again, similarly to Eowyn's Smite, this can miss. It doesn't only target heroes, it can target units. Anything. Obviously, that 50% heal is really good, because then you can get yourself back up. You may lose your extra damage, but you're not going to die. It's just the problem. For me, I just find with Thorin, you have to play very risky and hope he doesn't get focused down by other enemy heroes. Because, for example, Eowyn with her Smite can do it from range. If you're fighting an army of archers, you have to get into melee range with Thorin to actually deal your damage. All of your damage is reliant on you getting into the fight. Having the Battle Roar for extra speed is good. But the thing is, it's so obvious when it's being used, it can be noticed and enemies will just run away. And also, let's not forget, dwarves are slow. So all of this, requiring to be in melee, yes, it is a bit of a difficult thing. And it's why he's not A tier. But the fact he is with other dwarves, he can very easily hide in sometimes. Since the update to Thorin, I do think his armor has been updated a bit to look a bit more like Erebor for this style, and then Iron Hills for the Iron Hills version of Thorin. But yeah, it is a double-edged sword. You use all of his abilities at once, he does all that damage, he's amazing, but then after that, if you don't have any heroes to kill, you're weakening yourself. Enemy units can be powerful and can just take you down. You've got to be ready. If you've not got your Mithril shirt on, you are going to die. Even with 7,000 health, you are not invincible, Prince Thorin. Next up, we move to everyone's favourite dwarf, Gimli, who is also B tier. Has almost the same stats as Thorin, but has a slew of different abilities that actually work at different ranges, which is why if Thorin had Gimli's abilities, he would probably be A tier with his extra damage. For example, with Axe Throw, the only ranged ability of all these dwarf heroes, except for Nori's Knife Throw, which does nowhere near as much damage when you pair it up with Slayer. But also his Leap Attack is still iconic, does massive damage. And because you're always going to be in melee with the dwarves, if the enemy is unsuspecting of a leap, they're going to lose a lot of units because they will often clump up against dwarves thinking they can outlast them. For example, Mordor with Nazgul think they can outlast dwarves just by debuffing them a lot. They will quickly find out with Gimli on the field, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be spreading out, should be spreading thin, and lure them into a false sense of security. And then we come to Slayer, which does still give increased movement speed. It doesn't say how much, but looking at it, it seems to be the same amount as Battle Roar. But yeah, also 100% damage without any of the drawbacks of Thorin Blood Rage. On top of doing AoE damage for a short duration, AoE and knockback. And then finally, a bit of a weird one, Stubbornness. All enemies in the vicinity will start targeting Gimli. They will become fearless and deal bonus damage but lose armor. So, and again, another double-edged sword. You're letting your enemies deal more damage just at the case of losing all their armor. You can see the aura going around Gimli. However, it's not an aura ability around Gimli, it's every enemy around Gimli at that point. So don't think it's a thing you can use before getting into the fight. You should be leap attacking and then Stubbornness. And I think the all enemies in the vicinity start targeting Gimli is just flavor text. I've never seen anyone focus Gimli during Stubbornness. Great hero, definitely one of the best dwarves in the game, but not quite A tier in my opinion. Next up, before we come to the king, we're going to talk about the first hero that I believe needs a rework of some capacity, and that is the King of Dale Brand. And let's just go over all his abilities before I even talk about his what I would want to see for a rework. So firstly, his first ability. If he's armed with a bow, Dale Bowman gain extra damage. If he's armed with sword and shield, Dale Soldiers gain extra attack. Which, yep, swordsman and spear pikemen are both considered soldiers. And then at level 2, you can toggle between your sword and bow, like most other heroes at level 1. Then at level 5, you get a summon that gives you vision. Let's see how much vision he actually gives. I'm just being silent to just show my... Like... Really? This is considered vision? The Eye of Sauron gives more vision than this, I'm fairly certain. Anyway, that's enough of looking at that. Next up, Determination. For 30 seconds, the King of Dale ability is doubled in value and also affects Bran. So his 300 damage or 600 damage becomes 900 damage or 450 damage, which is better than Thorin Stonehelm when he's at 25% health, granted. And then the Inherited Black Arrow, which can be used from sword and bow, which is one good thing. But everything about this ability, I think, is wrong. Firstly, the longer the ability is left unused, the more damage it will do. If the ability is not used for 240 seconds, the attack will deal 300% normal damage. So, let's just take a look at that first line of text as well. Deals normal damage to the target enemy without any cooldown. So, we take that into account. 300 damage by 300%, that's 1200 damage. That doesn't even kill Nori. We must take the fight, and that's his level 10 ability. 1200 damage. And that is only once every 240 seconds. That's once every 4 minutes. Do 1200 damage to any target, not an enemy hero, any enemy. So using it at auto acquire is pointless because then you're not using your standard attack animation, you're using a slower attack animation to do normal damage. Can you see why I feel like it's not adding up? All these abilities feel so underwhelming. I'm going to compare him to Halbarad, a hero that has been very well tuned up. Can swap between sword and bow at level 1. Has a level 10 ability that is similar to Determination, but better, in that it gives your units bonus attack speed and can be used from either sword and bow, so faster attack speed for your Dunedain swordsmen or Dunedain rangers, for example. Then his leadership ability. Compare it to Halbarad's leadership ability. Yes, it takes him getting up to level 7 to get it to actually buff your units. But at that point, you also have that for your rangers, your swordsmen, your spearmen at all times. You don't have to swap between sword and board and bow to be able to target both units. Then the falcon. Either give it more range or change it, please. This ability is so... I don't know. And then determination needs to be changed to something else. And then the inherited black arrow. I don't honestly know what can be done with that. Maybe just make it permanently more damage. Brand now does permanently more damage with his bow. Or with his sword. I don't know. But yeah. Everything about Brand is, for me, E tier. He is one of the heroes that are at the very bottom of the barrel. Needs a rework, full or a small amount. I don't care. He is, for me, just a hero that needs to sit in the corner. Go sit in the corner. I don't want to look at you anymore, Brand. Moving on. Finally to the last hero. Let's have to put a downer on the mood. We have Dain. Which, despite his amazing voice lines, for me is a C-tier hero. Oh, voice break. Why is he a C-tier hero? His first ability is a really good one until you read the second half. When Dain attacks an enemy, doesn't matter if it's unit or hero, but not building, make sure you know that, not buildings, Dain grants 100% damage to all nearby allied units. So they have to be all around Dain at the time of he is hitting. So massive damage boost, can't deny it, but you have to be around him when he hits that one target, because after that 15 seconds passes, you have to wait 10 more seconds before you can activate the ability again. Then we have the charge command, which honestly should just be allowed to be targeted anywhere, not just on enemies. You have to target an enemy units, which, to be fair, the vision on the dwarves is not good. Look at this vision range.
See if he's still smirking down.
And yeah, even Nori, for example, look, has no extra vision range. You have to have vision on the enemy. Let's have a look how much Cox Ravens gives, for example. Because at the moment, anything you see with the charge command banner to use, the second you use that ability, your army should already either be closing in on them. To be fair, yeah, look, that gives more vision than this bloody silly little bird. Anyway, let's get back into close-up view. So yeah, you can make allied units and heroes in a large radius move faster the closer they get to the banner. And the banner lasts for 4 or 5 seconds on the position you use it on. It doesn't follow the enemy units. So if the enemies keep running away, that speed bonus will eventually wear off. It will die off. So you either have to be willing to commit. The enemy has to be willing to commit to make that worth it. You need to have a very big vision range bonus. For example, from using Cox Ravens on, for example, a lone tower. Or you just are just going to have to accept that you're using that mainly as a running down tool. But I cannot think outside of people. Okay, the fact it can be autocast does give him a few more brownie points. But he's only got 2 other abilities, so let's go over them. Mount and dismount. He can ride on his boar. When on his boar, he has a 40% damage aura and cannot activate the King of the Durin. Oh no, it comes King of Durin's foe instead of the Burst of Rage. That's what it was called before. So his Burst of Rage 100% damage boost is removed and replaced with a 40% damage boost permanently around him as a passive, which in my opinion is a lot better. However, similar to Thranduil, this is the only hero in your roster that can mount. Not only that, you only have 1 dedicated cavalry speed unit for the dwarves of Erebor, the battle wagons. And not only are they not as fast as Dain on his boar, because yeah, that is regular cavalry speed, I think. I might be wrong. That might be less than cavalry speed, so that might be battle wagon speed. I'm going to test it in a second. because we also have the Royal Battle Wagons, where you summon 5 battle wagons, 1 from every dwarf nation. So you get banners, you get kegs, but you also get Iron Hills shield bearers with trophies to weaken enemies. Unfortunately, they're all level 1, so that damage boost isn't getting any better. You have, the Dwarven Ale I've already talked about. The wheel blades you get normally with Erebor, along with the phalanx, to have more pushing power in the charge. But then you have the bolt thrower and archers on another battle wagon. Let's compare their speed. Dain is slightly faster than those wagons. Not a hell of a lot, but a decent amount that you can notice it. And yeah, the other two that have the banner carrier and the kegs don't actually have an affiliation with any of the other dwarven nations, which can possibly make them worse. Although it looks like they do have the Iron Hills. I can't tell. They have the Iron Hills officer, but then they have the phalanx on the sides. That's so weird. That's so weird. And they're already gone. Yep. So that's not even a permanent summon. That's just a temporary summon. Which, yeah, I get it. Most summon temporary from heroes. But 5 battle wagons feels like it could be a permanent summon. And if it was, I would put Dain up to B tier. But yeah, they can throw kegs as well. They can toss their barrels to do fire damage, which is good against any ranged units they can't reach. Or if you want to pin down pikemen. I say pin down if they want to take out pikemen without engaging them in melee. But yeah, unfortunately, some of Dain's kit could be tuned one way or the other to make him, in my opinion, more of an impactful faction leader. I feel like compared to some of the other faction leaders we've talked about, like Theoden, Galadriel, Elrond, he doesn't have that same spark, in my opinion. The 40% damage boost around him is great and all, but dwarves already do extremely high damage, especially Erebor dwarves. And considering abilities like Gimli can just make enemies lose 50% of their armor, they're going to be one-shotting most things anyway. So these extra damage and armor buff and reduction abilities are only really good against factions that have high damage or high armor values. For example, elves of Imladris, Gondor, other dwarf factions, Isengard. Because otherwise, Mordor, that extra damage doesn't do anything. I think Mordor is one of the toughest factions to play against as Erebor. Misty Mountains is another one of those that just has lots of entities that if you hit them too much, that's a lot of damage you're losing because each entity is easily replaced with the Misty Mountains. Angmar, you can say, yeah, Angmar would be a pretty good faction to go against in the late game, but in the early game, that extra damage does fall off. It's just a weird thing. I love the dwarves. Don't get me wrong. I love the dwarves. I love Erebor because of this outpost. If it weren't for this outpost, Erebor would be, I think, my least played dwarf faction. But since they've had this outpost change, the Iron Hills is now my least played faction of the dwarves, and Ered Luin is my most preferred faction, mainly because of their hero roster. Really, that is all of the dwarves of Erebor roster. Definitely, in my opinion, the worst out of all of the dwarves. Not because of their faction is bad. It's just that the heroes. My accent just went bad there. I apologise. The heroes just can get overshadowed by the power of the faction. Similar with Imladris, but the Imladris heroes I think are much more balanced and tuned up than the heroes of Erebor. That's just my opinion. Some of you might disagree with me. Feel free to let me know if you think so. Hope you all enjoyed, hope you all learned something, and I will see you all in the next one. Farewell.